On Overdrive this week, we've taken the details of the new iQube platform SUVs from Mahindra, showcasing the brand's intent of what's to come. We find out what makes the compact Volvo EX30 so irresistible. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I'm Soini. That Mahindra is known to make a splash every Independence Day, and this year was no different. In fact, they unveiled 4 interesting concept vehicles which will be showcasing the brand's new iQube platform, which will liberate more space, latest features and also house multiple engine bays. Let's first take a look at the Vision.SXT and also the Vision.T concept.
We have 4 concepts from Mahindra that are absolutely worth talking about because they are gorgeous, they are forward-looking, and they promise some really cool tech and some cool designs. We are going to begin with this one, the most hardcore of them all. This is the Vision.SXT. It's a take on the future Thar, maybe a Thar that will coexist with the current one, but in a very hardcore form. And what's more, it's going to have ICE, that's petrol and diesel. It's going to have hybrid, and it's going to have all electric. So like I said, a lot of promise with all these 4 concepts, and we begin with this one. Let's take a look. You get these 4-pot lighting arrangement. That is something that will translate into the production vehicle as well. You see the grille, something that we've seen on the Mahindra Thar rocks already. You get that multi-layered pattern and you get that butch look. So what you're looking at is nice chamfered off edges, a huge approach and departure angle, which is again amazing because this is a hardcore vehicle after all. And then you see the off-road tires right here, and you see the more aerodynamic design, because this is likely to be a hybrid or maybe even electrified, because they've just shown a new platform. It's literally called New iQ, NU iQ, which will have electrics as well as hybrids in there, and this could actually go, you know, electric or hybrid. You can see the new iQ badging right there. You can see the typical Thar elements like those exposed hinges, that big door handle. And because this is a concept, they have also taken some bold steps, like you see the cameras for the rear view mirrors. So that is something that we see here. And then that big black applique, I think that will become a design element going forward for the Thar. And that sort of adds a floating roof effect, at least to the front. And then you have again a cut-off edge or a chamfered off edge towards the rear, because like I said, this is going to be a very hardcore rendition of what the Thar, the future Thar could be. So at the tail, you again see vertical elements, and then you see these horizontal appliques applied right here, and then this big matte finish panel that you see there, and 2 tires at the back. So I'm guessing they will do like they did with the Thar, an open top version or a convertible version as well as a hard top version. Then for the rear, we see that the door handle has been nicely hidden into the C-pillar, and then you get that sharp C-pillar that you see there. And a little footstep here for you to climb onto the rear and, you know, load your luggage, load your tires or whatever. So they have nicely strapped these on over here. Quite a hardcore thing that we see here. And now looking at the overall tail design, this is what it's going to look like. And when you look up top, you will again see that that roof extends all the way back, and then you see those high mounted stop lamps up there, and that is again a design element that we might just see on the production vehicle as well. Pratap, I mean, everyone knows you, everyone knows your designs, but today we have something really special. When we spoke of the design and, you know, how you've optimized the cabin space, the flat floor is something that you stressed on, because of course the new platform has EVs and electrics and hybrids as well as a part of that. But one of the main core DNAs of the Thar is of course the 4x4. So how do you envision that in the electric future now? Of course there's all-wheel drive, but that would be for the electrics only, since you are now creating a future-proof architecture, like you said, which will be ICE, hybrid and EVs. So how would you...
So, you know, all-wheel drive is very important for us, and there is no way we would do some nameplates without that possibility. And you know, this new iQ is completely protected for that in both its forms, in ICE and in EV form. In ICE, we've got a nice high flow, no tunnel, but we will still be able to offer a all-wheel drive offering.
Moving on to the Vision.T. Now this is going to be, like I said, the friendlier version, let's put it that way, and this looks even more production ready to me. That 4-pot arrangement that we saw on the SXT. You see that here as well, but those are DRLs, and this is where the headlight sits. And what we saw, that six-pack look that Pratap Bose likes to talk about with the Thar rocks, we see that over here as well. The Vision.T badging right here, contrasting panels, they basically match the body color. And check out the size of that hood. I think it's very nicely designed. Those curves, those creases, they all look very nicely executed. Those bonnet straps that we saw, bonnet clamps that we saw, that we see here as well. I wonder if this might turn out to be some kind of a design element, or I don't know what they're going to do, but this one looks quite nice. I think they might even incorporate maybe headlamp washers somewhere, or what if they do it from here? Maybe it's placed sideways, we don't know. Talking of the fog lamps, very nicely placed, cleanly placed. They have their own housing here, and I think that should be amazing, whether you're driving on the road or even driving off-road. I think these are very nicely placed. They are nice and low. So this, of course, is running off-road tires. When it goes to production, obviously it's going to have something that's more road-friendly. They will not be able to homologate with these tires, but you see the kind of design they have going here. Quite an aerodynamic design, and I think even off the road it should be absolutely fine. When you see a relief map design right here, like I said, I think this band is going to become a design theme going forward. We saw that on the SXT as well, and I think they are going to do something here without making it look too Range Rover-like. Here we again see mirrors that are, not again, but rather here we see mirrors that are more conventional. On the SXT we saw cameras that work like mirrors, and all the lines here look a little bit more conventional compared to what we saw on the SXT. It's got a maximum payload of 45 kilos, so again something that we've seen on other off-road cars like the Defender. So they're putting this accessory ecosystem in place for this car. The 4-pot design that we saw for the headlights, we see that coming through for the tail lights as well. At the rear you get an angular loop for towing, and you again get the rear fog lamps again pointing a little outwards. So functionality wise they should be absolutely on point. So overall, I think the design is simply phenomenal, and I think this will be put into production real soon, looking at how production ready it looks.
Well, it's time for us to take a very quick break here on the show, but don't go anywhere, because on the other side we'll acquaint you with 2 other new platform vehicles from Mahindra and also the Volvo EX30 after the next break. Welcome back, here with us on Overdrive. Mahindra also showcased 2 sub-4 meter compact SUVs in the already busy Indian market space, and one was in its coupe format. Let's take a look at the Vision.S and also the Vision.X.
We already showed you the Mahindra Vision.T and the Vision.SXT. Now let's take at the Vision.S. This is a rather interesting product because it may not look like it, but it's actually sub 4 meter, which means it's going to target vehicles like the Venue. But the details look so good, you might even consider it over a Creta. So this is going to be like a mini Scorpio or a new Bolero Neo, whatever it may be. But this doesn't look like sub 4 meter to you, because Velu-san, who you can see there giving an interview, he clearly mentioned that just because it's sub 4 meter, it doesn't need to feel like economy class, right? It needs to feel first class. So what they've done is, you can see that they have pushed the wheels all the way to the corners to give you excellent cabin space. That is what they're doing. So it may not look like a production ready vehicle already, but I'm telling you, the elements are such that they will be able to put it into production very soon. Like I said, wheels pushed to all the 4 corners. You get these beautiful angled or squared off wheel arches. It's got a mini Defender or a Defender 110 kind of vibe to it, in terms of the proportions. The proportions look gorgeous. So we see some of the accessorized elements right there, something similar to what we saw on the Vision.T as well. You see that right there. So something similar that they have done, and they have also put the spare wheel on the tailgate itself. And I think this is somewhere where the tailgate opening will come out, and they've put that spare wheel there so that it nicely differentiates itself from the rest of the crossovers. But the bodywork, the lines, the paint, all of that is designed such that it doesn't look utilitarian. Now in terms of the rear lighting elements, we see the 2 vertical elements right here and the nice pixelated element right here. Hope they are able to put that onto the production vehicle as well. It will look quite nice. We've seen Hyundai do that with the Ioniq 5, so maybe these guys can do it too. Then we see these ice cube kind of tail lights, ice cube design philosophy. Again, we've seen it with the Koreans, we've seen it with Kia, and that has worked really well for them, and that has been incorporated out here quite well. Then you see the massive skid plate, and the rear overhangs are really tiny. That is how they're maximizing that space in that sub 4 meter segment, and the overhangs being so small, it gives this vehicle some really good approach and departure angles, right? Even in the front, the overhangs are really small. So that's that, and even these little bars there with the vertical lighting elements and that high stop lamp there, it all gives it, all these vertical elements give this vehicle a size, a vertical size perception that makes it look a lot taller than what it is. And you want that imposing stance, especially in that sub 4 meter segment. You want it to look imposing, right? And then we see the flush door handles, again a typical Mahindra trait. And look at the lines, look at the interplay of the vertical and the horizontal lines, all of it coming together so well. And then you also have this filler flap right here. It could be for fuel, it could be for charging. There's going to be a hybrid powertrain as well that these guys are working on this particular platform. For the petrol or the hybrid powertrains, it is going to be front wheel driven. That is what the platform is. And what that also means is that there is going to be no transmission tunnel of any kind. It's going to have absolutely flat flooring, which will again add to the overall comfort. And taking a look at the front end, we again see those vertical lighting elements with the 2 pixelated elements right next to it. Those will obviously be projector beam lamps when it goes into production. And down below we see the ice cube kind lights, again something that we saw on the tail. So the illuminated grille, that could be exclusive to the electric. They may or may not do it, I'm not sure, but that will definitely have chrome options, at least in the lower end trims.
What's new in this NU?
This platform comes with multiple new concepts. We call it as an intelligent concepts that differentiates our products from the rest of the compact segment products. So number one is the space that we liberate. So therefore, if you see the second row leg room, it's the industry leading leg room. Normally that is the compromised one. The other thing that you see is the performance in terms of ground clearance, in terms of approach angles, in terms of flexibility to have the electric vehicles, ICE vehicles, all of them is specific. Because we have raised the ground clearance for the Indian market, we wanted to have the best ride quality, so we are bringing in the 5-link suspension. In this segment, you never have a 5-link suspension anywhere in the international market, also the domestic market. So we bring in the 5-link suspension and the damper technology that holds the vehicle rock solid. So you get best ride and handling, you get best crash performance, you get the best the cabin space, and that's the idea, apart from the luggage space. So we have shortened the engine compartment, yet we are able to meet all the crash norms with the 5-star rating. So therefore we were forced to find innovations, and those are the innovations that you saw in my presentations.
This is the Vision.X. It's a sub 4 meter coupe type SUV, and it's going to come in both EV and ICE and hybrid forms. As you can see, it looks very similar to an Exxon. Now if you come to the front, I'll show you some of the details. This is probably the EV version, blanked out the similar layered lighting here, the DRL arrangement. Now when you come to the side, this new IQ architecture is built to a very high standard, at least that's what Mahindra says. So you get 19-inch wheels, a long 2665 mm wheelbase, those flush door handles. Even the ground clearance is supposed to be 227 mm. Now you see that sloping coupe roofline, the full width lighting, the big Vision.S. I especially like how this boot has been done. It gives it that very sporty feel, and you have these light arrangements here. Now we don't have too many details on the engines and so on yet, but the battery pack will be shared with what the in-glow architecture already gets. And it's safe to assume that the powertrains too will be similar to what the 3XO has. So you might get that 1.2 liter TGDI, maybe a hybrid version of that. Now let me give you a few more details about what this new architecture will be like. Now the Vision.X is jet themed. You have the decals for the flush door handles, similar stealth coating kind of decal, and another one for the jet blast. But this is very neat. I don't know if it'll make it to production, but these wings on the spoiler, they give you that jet fighter kind of look, but I don't know if it'll actually make it to production. Another cool detail is that intake decal here for these, I hope they'll be functional, vents on the roof. The bonnet is quite contoured in that modern fashion, but this is what the front looks like. You get this DRL and the split headlamp setup. It's going to have a fully flat floor. Even the legroom and the seat difference on the seat edge point and the driver height of viewing of the outside of the car, all of these are going to be, at least what Mahindra says, one of the highest in the segment.
Well, it's time for us to take our final break here on the show, but don't go anywhere because on the other side we have a small yet very electrifying Volvo on the show for you. Welcome back. You're with us on Overdrive. The Volvo EX30, the latest 2025 model, is stylish, compact and completely filled with the latest tech. In fact, is this the luxury EV that you would want to enter the space with? Let's find out.
It's difficult to fit the Volvo EX30 into a particular segment or body type. It's about as large as any of these entry-level luxury cars, but can't quite be called a hatch and isn't SUV enough to be termed a crossover. But that also means that it's distinct, especially since it carries Volvo's newest design theme. The light design stands out the most on a fairly blank face, and the cooling vents have been smartly integrated into the look. Now, as with most electric cars, you do get a frunk, although I must say that it's quite small at just 7 litres. Now, considering the size of the EX30, the boot isn't very big, it's 318 litres, but I must say that whatever is there is quite practical. So as you can see, the lip is pretty high and it's a squarish space, so you will fit a lot of stuff in it. And just to make things a bit easier, you can also lower this floor a little bit to give you a bit more space. Now, one of the things you always notice with Volvos is that they do things a bit differently, but with this EX30, with it being a completely new sort of take on what a Volvo can be, being from a born electric platform, they've really taken things to a different level. So what you do get, the sill itself is quite low and the dash has this very minimal modern design that you find in many Volvos and generally also in many new cars. As you may have noticed, the EX30 doesn't have a driver's instrument cluster. Instead, it's taken quite a minimal turn with the speed and ADAS graphics integrated into the vertical 12.3-inch screen, somewhat like a Tesla, although a head-up display would have made life easier. The screen is the same Android-based system you see in other Volvo cars, but updated to include more functions and with a more modern interface than, say, the XC90. It's quite responsive and intuitive, but you only get Apple CarPlay, so Android users will have to set up their profiles in the car to access all of their data. Now, you might be wondering where the cup holders are, because they aren't around. If you don't want to carry cups, it becomes another different storage space. Now, given the size of the EX30, you may have assumed that it won't be a very spacious car, and that's quite true in the back seat. But there is good news on that front as well. So yeah, while overall space is not great, the floor is quite high. As you can see, I sit in a fairly knees up position. You can see the kind of thigh support I have. It's not very great for me. The bench is really not long enough for my needs. The EX30 is based on the SEA architecture that is also seen in many other cars in the Geely family. It packs quite a large 69 kWh battery pack, of which 64 kilowatts are usable. That gives it 480 kilometers of WLTP range. We think this should be good for 380 to 400 kilometers in the real world. The max DC fast charging speed is 175 kilowatt, while you can AC charge at 11 kilowatt. Now, getting in and driving the EX30 is as simple as the rest of the car feels so far. You put your key card here. If you have your phone linked to the app and so on, it's even easier. You just place your phone there and you're ready to go. You flick this selector into drive and that's it. The EX30 is powered by a single motor at the rear that makes 272 PS and 342 Nm. It's quite a brisk machine because of this, doing the 0 to 100 kmph run in 5.3 seconds. In keeping with that decluttered theme of the EX30, you have nothing in the way of drive modes or regen modes. You do get a one-pedal driving mode that will bring the car to a complete halt, but it's not as strong as some other EVs that seem to add a lot of resistance to the system. Without one-pedal driving, you have a standard light regen level. With all of these born electric EVs, the one thing that I notice is just how cohesive and together they feel, for want of a better word, and the EX30 again feels that way. So you have this very calm, composed kind of nature to it when you're going along, even at the speeds that we're doing about 90 on a highway. So it just feels really well tied down, very solid. And I must say, with these 19-inch wheels and the heft of this car, Volvo has gotten the ride pretty right for our conditions. The Volvo EX30 is locally assembled, which should make it well priced, which we think should be under rupees 50 lakh. The small Volvo may be missing some features and the rear seats may not be the most comfortable, and it's not an SUV. But there are a few cars like it in the market that don't fit the box. This in itself adds a good dose of charm. It also looks great, has a plush feeling on the move and good range.
With that, it's a wrap on this week's edition of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through our various social media platforms. You can write to us on YouTube as well. We'll see you next week. Until then, drive and ride safe.